Yo, what's up guys? Yeah, pokeaim here with the April 2019 tier shifts. Now, I waited about a day because I didn't want to do this on April Fools because I wasn't sure what was real, what was not. Even though my friends told me it was real, but I don't know. I had to wait. I had to wait. But there are some very interesting tier shifts, and I want to talk about them. I'll be giving my thoughts on a few of them, and yeah, maybe why they happen or how it will be affecting the tier. Yeah, so let's get right into it. So first off, pretty big one. Well, there's actually a lot of big ones, but Kommo-o moved from UU to OU. Now this is really big because Kommo-o is first off a fantastic stealth rocker and breaker, like wall breaker in the UU tier. Checks a ton of mons as well. And honestly, they call it the clanger, but that Pokemon is incredibly solid down there. But to see it move up definitely changes up the tier, especially with what actually ended up dropping down. As you guys can see on your screen right there. But Kommo-o moving up to OU, in terms of why, I know there was this one Sand RMT that was spammed on the ladder. I also know that CTC adapted his own team from that team and gave it to Blunder. Blunder used it in the tournament, but Kommo-o actually does have a decent place. And there's also like a Belly Drum Kommo-o Aurora Veil team running around on the ladder too. But Kommo-o does have a place in the OU tier in terms of being able to check very common threats like Greninja. Greninja is the big one that comes to mind. Kartana is another one it could check. Zapdos is another one it could check. And obviously it does have Clangorous Soul Blaze, which gives it this Omni boost and makes it threatening. So it's interesting to see it rise. I know that UU is definitely going to be changed, I want to say a good amount because of that. Especially what dropped, but yeah. Hoopa and Venusaur also moved up from UUBL to OU. Doesn't really change anything. There's a Trick Room team running around with Hoopa. Banded specs, it's good. I feel like Hoopa's just a mon that it's good, right? People just don't always use it. Venusaur, however, picked up a little bit in popularity, being able to check Pokemon like Magearna. Ever since the Zygarde ban, I feel like Venusaur picked up a lot in popularity. Being able to check Magearna, check Mega Mawile, check Kartana, Leech Seed, Synthesis, Sludge Bomb, Hidden Power Fire. It's a solid Pokemon all around. So moved up to OU by usage. Great. Now this is a big one, and honestly, this Pokemon is going to be quick banned. I actually had to. I know that we're gonna vote on it yesterday, but I was like, please let me do a video on this first. Let me record with it first. But Mega Sableye dropped down from OU to UU. Now, I think that Stall has kind of hit a decline in the OU tier. Don't get me wrong, I do think that there are some Stall variants that are still really good. I think Avalok Stall is actually really solid. I think the Moltres Stall, which may actually end up being the same team, is pretty solid as well. But with Pokemon like Mega Mawile being incredible and Fairy types and Magearna, Sableye finally lost its usage and ended up dropping down to UU. Now, as far as Sableye in the UU tier goes, I think it's really tough to argue that it is not busted in terms of there is only one stealth rocker that can reliably get up rocks in front of Mega Sableye, and that is Diancie. That is regular Diancie. That's the only stealth rocker that can actually afford to click rocks in front of Sableye, simply because the fairy type that threatens Sableye with Moonblast and obviously can get up rocks after. But with Magic Bounce doesn't care. The other extent with that would be, well, if you want to use like a more niche Pokemon, it would be like a Moldbreaker Druddigon with Stealth Rock. And then the other one that came to mind was like SDZ Terrakion with Concept of Crush and Stealth Rock too. But basically, Sableye is a fantastic wall. You guys already know that. Especially defense-wise, it's going to be able to check Pokemon like Latias, Hydreigon. It's going to be a problem. It's definitely going to be a problem. And honestly, it's going to be quick banned. There's going to be a voting on it too. I believe I'm still part of the council for the UU tier, so I know that's something that they plan on actually voting on. And oh yeah, I am part of the UU council. Awesome. I just looked at the UU council list and I'm on there. Awesome. So yes, I know that's something that we're more than likely going to be voting on super quickly. But yeah, play with Mega Sableye now while you have the chance, because that mon is going to be banned. I do think that it makes Stall and UU pretty cool. I don't think it's like, maybe not necessarily Stall, but I think bulky offenses. I could see the combination of Sableye plus Articuno / Moltres rising up a little bit, obviously working well together, similar to like Sableye plus Volcarona in the OU tier. But again, I don't think we're gonna have enough time to use this Pokemon. But very threatening, can beat most rockers, knock off Will-O-Wisp and Polion, Reuniclus check as well. Just a good Pokemon. Obviously having Prankster prior to Mega Evolving too and having the Magic Bounce. Heracross moved from UU to RUBL, which means that it's banned from RU, but it's not UU by usage, but you can still only use it in UU and above. I feel like with what's been rising in popularity, you have Mega Altaria obviously showing it's great. Obviously Latias and Scizor are great checks to Heracross as well. I don't think that Heracross is bad by any means. In fact, any gut, if someone tries to tell you that a Pokemon with guts in this generation that can hold a Flame Orb is bad in any tier, I think they're just straight up lying to you. And I'm even thinking of even Pokemon like Throw in like lower tiers, which I'm pretty sure might have even been banned. I don't know. But like like you have Machamp, you have Hariyama, you have Heracross. It's still incredible. Getting a Flame Orb Facade off, obviously. In fact, we might see a little surge in usage because of the Mega Sableye rise. You might see some Heracross running around with maybe Flame Orb Mega Horn now because it is a Sableye check. Obviously with Guts as well. But it's also kind of tough to get this Pokemon in versus certain builds. Builds with like offensive Celebi with Psychic or Shattered Psyche, Togekiss, it doesn't KO, Facade. Like it's really good versus slower builds, but otherwise that kind of fails to do much versus more offensive builds. I still think it's a solid Pokemon in the U tier. Now, this is a cool one, and I felt like this was this should have happened a long time ago, but Slowbro finally moved up a tier. Now, guys, Slowbro is good in NU, in RU, in UU, and in OU, okay? There are instances where that Pokemon has been used in all of it, right? In this generation, in the past few months. So it finally moved up from NU to RU. First off, it's a check to Pokemon like Tyrantrum. I know Cole49 was also using like a Rocky Helmet counter set, which is also pretty cool. It can still check Pokemon like Noivern too. Hurricane doesn't knock it out. I know Zap Cannon was also running around the RU tier, so it has its niche in the RU tier as also a Zygarde 10% answer. Just a good physical wall, right? It does well versus a lot in the tier, especially with Metagross being dropped down to RU. I think that was a huge reason why Slowbro picked up. So finally got enough usage to go there. Really cool, really cool. I think it definitely deserved it. Another Mon that moved up from NU to RU. And by the way, this is going to really change the NU tier. First off, fighting types are about to be even more good. Like they're about to be even better in the even more good. Yes, nice English. They're about to be even better in the NU tier because obviously Slowbro is one of the best Passimian answers outside of maybe a Pokemon like Golbat, I want to say. So fighting types definitely getting a lot better. It's also just like the premier bulky water in the tier, so it's a pivot for Steelix, it's a pivot. Man, this Pokemon could have beaten Incineroar or Hydro Vortex, so that's going to be a crazy shift for the NU tier. For those that might main NU, let me know your thoughts on Slowbro finally moving up, how you think it's going to change. I honestly think, just going a little bit off this, it's obviously not on the screen, but Passimian is something, it's not going to be banned, but I do think it's going to move up to RU anyway by usage, but I think it's interesting to think about fighting types like they're just getting a lot better because Slowbro has moved up. Diancie also moved up from NU to RU. Okay, so talking a little bit about Diancie, it's actually a rocker that can deal with Mega Blastoise. Now before you like start chopping my head off or saying like that, Mega Blastoise does not run Water Stab in the tier. For the most part, it's Ice Beam, Aura Sphere, Dark Pulse, and Rapid Spin. So it's an offensive stealth rocker that deal with that. It's a stealth rocker that doesn't care about Noivern at all. Still checks Pokemon like Ninetales and Salazzle. It can soft check fighting types as well. It's a rocker that can beat Mandibuzz, which is pretty cool too. So it's and obviously again it's a solid fire check in the tier too. So it's cool to see it actually rise up. I think Diancie is very underrated in the RU tier, and I think it's just I mean, it's B in viability, but I feel like it's still a semi underrated in the tier. So I do think it was about time that it did move up. Just being a Pokemon that also forces, like it forces strong Z moves, right? Like Virizion will not knock out Diancie at neutral unless it goes for Bloom Doom. So that's a pretty cool thing. And despite even Metagross moving up, this is still a pretty solid rocker in the tier as well. So happy about that. Now, Pangoro moved from RU to NU. I think this is kind of crazy. I don't know how if it's going to be like. As a wall breaker, I think Pangoro is amazing. Swords Dance, and you know, you just lost one of your main fighting type switches, but Pangoro didn't care about Slowbro anyway. Has a decent speed tier, so I think that Swords Dance is gonna be really nice. As far as offensive dark types, obviously Incineroar I think is always gonna be king in the NU tier, but Pangoro moving down. It really just wasn't that good at the moment. Mega Blastoise obviously running Aura Sphere, not being able to switch into Zygarde 10. Meteor Mash doing a ton from Metagross. Like, I'm just going through the list, right? Like, as far as offensive fighting types go, I would like something that has a nice secondary, like Virizion, which can deal with bulky waters. And obviously Pangoro doesn't appreciate the rise in Golisopod and Noivern as just Pokemon in general. So I still think it's a solid fighting type, but I feel like the tier has moved from more of a balanced slash slower tier to a more offensive build, and a slow wall breaker like Pangoro really does not appreciate a more offensively paced RU tier. And I hope that you guys understand why I'm saying that, because basically the main chances Pangoro has to get in is either a U-turn or coming in on slow weak Pokemon, right? But in a tier where that's not always the case, and where offense is actually the best that it's been in a while, I definitely think offense is easily the top playstyle in RU right now, at least tournament-wise. Pangoro kind of falls short. But as far as in the NU tier goes, I'm excited to see how it does. One thing I like about it as a fighting type in the NU tier is that it has stab on knockoff, which is really nice because one of the premier, again, fighting type checks in the tier is Golbat. And, you know, with Diancie and Slowbro rising up, there's no more pivots into knock or Drain Punch or whatever. So being able to do that much damage to something like Golbat is pretty, you know, it's I like the idea of it. I don't know how it's going to actually do in the long run, but I do love the idea of a Pokemon that actually says, I don't care about Vileplume because the Swords Dance knockoff is going to smack you. Sneasel has to run low kick to hurt me. I can break through Rhydon, Steelix, Cores. I'm faster than Specs, Alolan Executor. Like, I'm really excited. Even like SD Lum will break through a Pokemon like Weezing. Obviously, there's still Pokemon like Comfey that are in the tier and be like, I'm going to check these. And I think Comfey's going to get even better too. But that's just my opinion, because I think the rise in fighting types is going to cause that. But I still think Pangoro is going to be pretty solid. And it has such great abilities, right? Scrappy, Mold Breaker, and the other one, Iron Fist. So that's pretty cool. Guzzlord dropped from NU to PU. A little bit sad about that, because I think that Specs Guzzlord is fantastic in the NU tier. But I guess people would rather use Alolan Executor, which has obviously the Specs Draco and, you know, Specs Leaf Storm, which both hit incredibly hard. So it hits harder than Specs Draco plus Specs Dark Pulse from Guzzlord, but also has like the coverage and Flamethrower and options like that to still, you know, put some work, and can actually pivot into ground type attacks from like Rhydon or whatnot. So move down, and I'm not sure how it's gonna do in PU. Again, I don't want to say something and just like be talking just to talk. I try to back things up with what I know, my knowledge of the tier. But as far as looking at the PU tier, and again, if you're a PU main, my bad guys, I'm just looking at the viability rankings right here on the side. The S rank Pokemon are currently Froslass, Mesprit, and Lilligant, all of which Guzzlord can match up decently versus. Obviously, Froslass can Ice Beam, but Dark Pulse is going to do more from Guzzlord than an Ice Beam from Froslass. Mesprit has access to Dazzling Gleam, U-Turn, and Ice Beam, but unless it is Dazzling Gleam, Guzzlord, Dark Pulse, obviously, Lilligant can Sleep Powder and Quiver Dance up on. Skuntank is also S- tier in it, so I do think that it can be like a... Wait, was Alolan Executor banned from PU? Was it PUBL? I don't remember. I'm probably just like... not remembering anything, but as far as like just a strong Specs Dragon goes, and I'm talking about something outside of like the Pokemon that reminds me of Janda. What's it called? Drampa. It's faster and it's bulky, though obviously Drampa is bulky too, but has just great coverage, and has the coverage to really mess things up. So I'm excited to see how it does in the tier. Assuming it stays in the tier. And obviously PU mains, I would love if you give me your thoughts on that, because again, don't have the main knowledge for that. Now, as far as some rises to the tier, we have... Oh, I kind of just want to... Let me talk about Kingler too. I'm surprised Kingler dropped from NU to PUBL, okay? Because obviously it means it's banned from PU, which is whatever. It doesn't really affect you. You can still use it at NU. But Swords Dance Kingler is really strong. But then again, you have Pokemon like Heliolisk literally being one of the best Pokemon in the tier, which can pivot in on everything. Well, can pivot in on the Water Stab. You have Vileplume running around too, which can obviously Strength Sap and Giga Drain for damage as well. I'm not sure why I'm not sure why. Like, again, NU mains talk to me about that too. I'm just looking at like the viability as well. I think it doesn't match up poorly versus a lot of these mods. I know +2 X's or hurts. Even Vaporeon takes like 10 million from that. So, Kingler ended up dropping. Now, as far as why some of these Pokemon rose, oh, there it is. Duh, Alolan Executor is right there, and it was PUBO. It was banned. Nice. Okay, cool. So I wonder if Guzzler is going to take its place. We'll see. Samurott and Typhlosion. Now, main reason Samurott and Typhlosion rose up, I know there's this one ladder player called Parnstar, P-A-R-N-S-T-A-R, and he just spams. I know he spams. Shout out to Boston for letting me know, but he spams Samurott and Typhlosion in the tier. So I know that's a big reason for why those moved up. Apparently, and again, I'm gonna be really brief on this because I don't have the most knowledge for this. But Minior apparently is spammed by lower ladder players. Whether it be as a Sash Rocker lead or as a Shell Smash mod. I know that there's like this one team that has like Yawn, Mean Look, Meowstic plus Minior. Maybe I'm just having flashbacks to random battles. That was such a tough road. But yeah, big thing, don't know why else about Minior. But I do know that's a big thing about Samurott and Typhlosion. And, you know, Samurott's not bad. Swords and Mixed or Special. It's really good. Obviously, it has coverage like Grass Knot and whatnot, which is cool. And then Alolan Executor moved from PUBL to NU. And I think this is a fantastic, it's a fantastic Pokemon in the tier, in my opinion. It's obviously A ranked in viability too, but it's just like such a great wall breaker. Again, it's super tough to switch into it. And it has some good natural resistances. So, yeah, that's basically my thoughts on this. Let me know again if you are a main in the tier that I talked about. Would love to know your thoughts. Would absolutely love to know your thoughts on this stuff. But yeah, I'll see you guys later today with a video. Goodbye, my friends.